Hey friends, let's move forward with the Python examples we were doing earlier. So, as a reminder for starting with learning Python in this course, what you need to do is you should type online Python interpreter in your browser and go to the first link and let's start learning from there. So in our last video, we looked at a bunch of print statements, and then we also looked at strings and how to print the strings, how to concatenate the strings, and how to do simple arithmetic operations in Python. So let's move forward a bit with strings in this video. So I'm going to start again by declaring a variable string and assigning it a value. So let's start by assigning a value hello world. Okay, so my string contains this value and there are a bunch of operations I can do with these strings, and let's start from the most basic ones. So one important feature of Python is that in strings each you can actually pull up each character of the string directly. Suppose I want to pull up the first character of this string. Now each character in Python, each string character in Python has an index associated with it. So generally in programming languages the indices starts from 0. So this is h is at 0th index, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So the index of h is 0. Suppose I want to just print the first character, so I will say print string and then I'll use these square brackets and say 0. It's going to print h for me, and then you can keep doing. Remember this space counts as an index, so let's count what's the index of space. So that's index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe it's index 5. Let's see. 0, yeah, it should be index 5, I believe. Yeah, it gave us a space. And so suppose I want to print the whole hello from here. So what I'll do is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna print 0, 2, but the last value shouldn't be 4. If the last value is 4, it's not gonna print the O. Let's try this. The reason why it doesn't print is it just needs to skip one character further. So if I say 0 to 5, it will print the character number 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It simply doesn't print the last character. So I can print hello over here, and then I can also do another thing. I can, for example, just say 10. Let's see how much it prints. Yeah, it just doesn't print one thing. Let's print everything, 0 to 11. And then I can also specify the spacing here. uh, uh, no, I'm sorry. So I have to say 0, so the starting index, the last index, and the spacing. uh, oh oh no, this is not gonna work here. This is oh, you can only assign strings over here. You can't just say that's a list function. Yeah, that's how it works over here. Yeah, yeah, this is how it works. So what you have to do is you have to say the starting index, you have to say the last index, like the index next to the last index, and you have to provide the spacing here with the columns, and then it's going to print. So because you have put a spacing of 2, it's going to skip one word, one character, and so it printed h and skipped e and then printed l and skipped the next L and then printed O and skipped the space, printed W, skipped the O, printed R, skipped L and D. So that's how you can do one thing. And one can do a lot of operations here. Suppose I want to reverse this string. Let's see if I can do this. So it should be colon colon minus one, and I'm gonna explain you what it means. So that's what it did. So it just completely reversed the string. So what I told is start from the index wherever you want to start with, like start from the starting index, end at the ending index, and do a spacing of minus one. The moment you have a negative index over here, this means it indicates that you have to start from the end and just keep decrementing, keep reducing one. And there is another thing which is very similar to this. Suppose if I say string minus one, what it's going to print? If you give an index of minus one, it's going to print the last character, and essentially it's counting from the back. If it is saying minus two and minus three, and so on and so forth. So the indices start from zero from the beginning. This is zeroth index. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But then if I start counting from the back, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, minus 8, minus 10, 9, minus 10, minus 11, and so on and so forth. So for reversing the string, we have a really simple function. That's it. And it's going to give you a reverse string. Now, there is a thing very similar to that. There's something called a palindrome. Now, palindrome is a string which is same from both sides. For example, race car. If I just uh, reverse it, it's still gonna remain race car. We can just try this. So race car, and then if I want to print its reverse, I'll just add a comment here. Reversed string, and okay. So, oh, I need to get rid of this extra thing that I wrote there. And it still gives me race card. This means it's a palindromic string. Now, if I want to check if a string is palindrome or not, what I can do is I can just say string equals, this is a comparison operator, and if I can check that if the string is equal to its reverse, and uh, oh yeah. Hmm. Yeah, so I need to print this actually. So what I should do is say print string is equal to its reverse, and it's going to say true. Now this is called a Boolean variable. What it means is that if you have a certain condition, if it is true, it's going to return true, otherwise it's going to return false. For example, if I just say print 3 greater than 4, it's going to return false. So it's just checking a condition. If the condition is true, it's going to return true, otherwise it's going to return false. We are going to come to the Boolean variables very soon, but for the time being, if I just have a look at it, so if I'm checking this condition, if the string is equal to the reverse of string, then it's a palindrome. And so if we just say print string equals to string colon colon minus one, and if it returns true, it's a palindrome. Suppose I change the string now. If I change it to ABC, it's gonna change it to false. But if I just say ABCBA, and it returns true. So it's a very easy function kind of way to check whether the string is same from front and back, and it's going to return that. Now let's get into a little bit of more data types before we return to strings again. So we looked at integer data types, and we also looked at strings. Strings are, the way we write strings is we use quotes or these single quotes, and the way we write integers is just as numbers. Okay, so let's start with the next data type called Boolean. The Boolean data type, the way I told you earlier, this is how it works. Suppose I want the program to print 5 equal to 5. Now it's going to check if 5, the value of 5 is equal to 5, and it's going to return true. And if I say 5 equal to 6, that's, we know that's not true, it's going to give false. So the Boolean value returns either true or false. Suppose if I say, again, that's what we were doing in the palindrome. So suppose I have a string equals a, and then if I say string, so we are asking the program to check whether your string is equal to the reverse of string, which is colon colon minus 1, and then it's gonna return true or false. Oh, there is some error. I'm trying to, oh, I had a string, I should have a string over here. Yeah. Okay, so this is true, and ABA is gonna true. So this is called a Boolean variable, and it's very useful in many circumstances. You can probably check many similar conditions. So if I say print 5 star star 2 greater than 25, let's see if it works or not. It's gonna say false because 5, the power of the second power of 5 is equal to 25. So if I just say equal, it's going to say true. So these are called Boolean data types, and they're very useful in many cases. So we have covered three kinds of data types we can enter over here, and then let's try to learn few more string functions. So for example, I have a string and I want to check. So the string is ABC, and if I want to just make it uppercase, there is an inbuilt method in Python, and we can assign it to a new variable, string 1. Now this str seems to be an inbuilt Python function. Let's not use the word str and say string. And now we can print here string 1, and see, it just made it upper. And suppose if I have a string which has a mix of these upper and lower cases, and if I want to just say string that lower, and you're gonna get these values like this. So this is very useful when we do work on large text files, and if I want to just put a condition there that the first character after a period or full stop should be capitalized, or certain words should be capitalized. So functions like these are very useful. We can also say string dot capitalize. So that what that's going to return is, it's going to return the string where only the first word is first character is capitalized, essentially title case kind of thing. And we can also use some Boolean operations on strings. For example, if we can say is_, means it's checking whether all the characters are in the string are lower. They're not currently, that's why it just returns a false. You can also check on this and it's going to return true. You can also, in the same way, by intuition, you can check is upper, false. They're not upper characters in the string we have provided. And then we can also see if a string contains alphabets, say is alpha, and it's going to return true. And if we can say is alnum, alnum means alphanumeric, it's going to return true. Suppose if I have ABC 1 2 3, this is alphanumeric, it's going to return true. On the other hand, if I have star 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 or some asterisk kind of characters, it's going to return false. Similarly, what we can do is numeric, and it's going to return false at this point. But if I have a string which only has only numbers, it's going to return true to me, right? So we have used few of these string operations: is alpha, is alnam, is lower, is upper, is numeric. And similarly we can use few more. We can also check this digit, probably it's gonna return true, of course, over here. And one can do more string operations like this, but let's move forward from here. And okay, build a string like this, boy, for example. And then I can say string 1 and call another one as string 2. E. Let's try to say, do joining operation. So let's see, string 3, and then we can print it, print string 1, sorry, print string 3. Let's see what result it gives you. Okay, so what's the problem I'm creating here? Oh yeah, so let's say string 1. Yeah, so what did it do is it joined the strings, and the way it is doing is doing it, oh, oh, I'm doing it wrong actually. Yeah, so what it does is it just takes the first character, insert the thing in, and then go to the next character. That's really interesting here, what's going on. But one can do another thing. You can say a dot join string 2. It literally does the same thing. And a dot join b. It doesn't take ba. Yeah, bb. Let's do b. It just skips the first character, bab. And this is how this join function works in strings. And in the same way, one can just look at other string functions. Some of them we are going to cover over here. Oh yeah, there is another one which is really important, which is called split function. Suppose it says I am a boy, and I want to just pick all of these words from this. So what I can do is uh, string 1 dot split. And what am I splitting it with respect to? I'm splitting the string with respect to space. And then so they splitted it, and then we're gonna see what it prints over here. Yeah, so by default it creates a list of the words which are present in the string, and that's great. And then we can also look at other functions. For example, what we can do is we can find the index. So suppose we can say string dot index 1 dot index, and say a, and it's gonna return the, let's see, oh, I just need to say print. Oh, here it just doesn't work without a print. uh, yeah, so it will return the first index. So this is 0th index, this is first index, and this is the second, it's at index 2. So that's what it's gonna return over here, right? So this uh, finding index is another important function in Python, string function in Python. And in the same way, one can also look at starts with and ends with and replace. So let's look at those things. So string dot starts with I. So if I print this, what it's gonna give me? If I print this, it's gonna most likely give me a Boolean value. Oh no, I need to just say string 1 because my variable is string 1. The string is not, oh, it should be starts with. Yeah, it gives me true because my string starts with I. But let's see, if I just say small I, it's gonna give me false because my string is hard coded there, and by definition it's case sensitive. And one can also look at, let's say, ends with, and then I can say y. It's gonna return me boolean value again, whether it is true or whether it is false. So what we have basically covered over here is, let me just summarize. So we covered string dot upper, we covered string dot, let me just uh, keep copying this a few more times so that we have everything together. String, 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 string. So string dot upper, string dot lower, string dot capitalize, and then string dot split. So you wanna tell the delimiter. We use this thing for splitting, and we also used string dot ends with, which is a boolean, and string dot starts with. We also did a few other boolean things, is upper, and then we have string dot is lower, and string dot is alnum, string dot is digit, and so on and so forth. So string dot split is really important. We also did string dot index to find the index of whatever it is. So these are all the functions or methods that are defined for the string class in Python. And I don't know if I'm missing, but I'm missing anything, but there may be a few others. We can also, there is another one called strip. So we can say string dot strip and say string1 dot strip, and then say I, and I'm gonna print this. So if I say print this, and okay, so string 1 dot strip. Oh, oh, it's just angry with these. I'm just gonna get rid of them. Okay, so it splitted the string. It's also interesting to see what it does if I just say A here. It just did not strip anything because it's finding multiple occurrences of this. It just works with a single occurrence probably. And if I say m, just no, there is something going on. String that split, say print, yeah, it's splitted, stripped I, and it says m, and then it strips y. Did it strip y? Yeah, it does. And if I say strip b, no, it does not strip. It just strips the things from the beginning and the end. That's what this function does. So I'm just gonna paste everything, whatever we have learned so far, and then I'm also gonna merge this with some of these things, and these are some of the important functions that one can use. And if we know the loops, we can actually pick up each string, but we need to do lists and loops and other kind of data structures in Python first before we go into actual problem solving with these kind of operations. So I'm gonna stop here for today for these string functions, and I hope these string functions are easy and useful, and we will continue to move forward with this information in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.